Hi, folks. This is your friendly neighborhood Mr. Thomas, and I am going to start a series, a short series, on the different ways that you can trim in Premiere Pro. Now, I know we did talk a little bit about trimming in a previous video tutorial. However, I was not able to go into a lot of detail into the different types of trims that you can execute. And there are several ways to execute each type of trim. So the next several, maybe 4 or 5 video tutorials will focus on a single type of trim for each video. The first one we're going to do is the regular trim, but the entire set of trims that you can do in Premiere are regular trim, a ripple trim, a roll trim, a slip edit or slip trim, a slide edit or slide trim. Now, sometimes you'll hear some people call these trims, and sometimes they'll call them edits. Depends on who you're talking to, but trims and edits, they'll use that term synonymously. Many people will, at least I will, but technically most of these are at least regular, ripple, and roll are types of trims. Okay, so this first video tutorial rather, is on the regular trim. So if you see my timeline here, see I already have some sequence clips in the timeline, and that's one thing important that you need to remember is that you can only execute trims on clips that have already been edited to the timeline. The idea is you get a rough cut of your film by editing the shots that you want in the timeline, and you want to tweak the duration, location, and content of these clips using the trim tools. Okay, so the first trim tool we're going to talk about is the regular trim tool. We mentioned this in an earlier video tutorial, but I'll go over it quickly here. If you look at your toolbar, and let me go to my editing workspace here. Okay, and you'll see my toolbar, your regular selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, that also gives you access to the regular trim tool. You know you have the regular trim tool active when you see the red bracket with the red arrowhead. Okay, when you hover over the head of the clip, the red bracket and the red arrowhead will point to the right, and when you hover over the tail of the clip, the red bracket and the red arrowhead will point to the left. The idea is that the arrowhead always points towards the body or the center of the clip, so you will know exactly which clip you're about to trim. So if I look at my arrow, if I were to click, which I just did on the head of this clip, I look at the pointing direction of the arrow. It's pointing toward the middle of clip 718_0004_01B.mov. So I know that this is the clip that I would be trimming, as opposed to the clip to the left of it, the outgoing clip 718:0009:01B.move, the previous clip. Okay, so that's why when you hover over the head or tail, your icon for any type of trim, well, at least regular and ripple, the arrow will always point towards the center of the clip. Now, the regular trim is the most basic type of trim that you can execute in a sequence, and how you would actually, what the regular trim does is it subtracts or adds frames at the head or tail of a clip, and it does not impact any clips that are surrounding. So for example, if I regular trim positively on the head of this clip here, I'm regular trimming positive 18 frames on the head of the clip. Look, it gives me a gap, okay? Because I trimmed away a certain number of clips. It gives me a gap, and the preceding clip doesn't slide to the right. It doesn't add frames on its tail, doesn't do anything like that in order to fill in that gap, okay? So that's what a regular trim does. You can do it at the head or the tail. Also notice when I do it at the head, I'm regular trimming negative 18 frames at the head, And if I did, and I know I do, have more frames on the head of this clip, I cannot regular trim anymore at the head of this clip. I can't add any more frames at the head of this clip. Why? Because of the fact that this preceding clip is in the way. Okay, so it's like a wall. If there's something in the way, you can't regular trim beyond the limits of the previous clip. Or if I was trimming in the opposite direction, if I tried to go this way, I couldn't add frames positively to the tail of this clip right here because this next clip is in the way. Okay, so as you can see, essentially the process of regular trimming is, the best idea is to click select, make sure that the head of the correct clip or the tail of the correct clip that you want to trim is selected. Then you drag, okay, you do on the tail as well, okay, just like that. All right, and it will add or subtract frames from the head or the tail. Remember the terminology we use, how we say you want to, in this particular case, you want to specify which type of trim you're going to execute, say regular trim. Then you want to specify how many frames in the direction that you want to trim. Say I want to regular trim -18 frames, and then you specify whether it's on the head or the tail of the clip. I want to regular trim -18 frames on the head of clip, then you name the clip, 718_0004_01B. Now, of course, hopefully most clips you work with won't have names that long and elaborate, but you get the idea, okay? Regular trim, -18 frames, positively on the head of 718_0004_01B.mov. Okay, when I regular trim positively on the head, it's going to make the clip shorter. If I were to regular trim positively on the tail of the clip, it would make the clip longer. Okay, so there are other ways that you can regular trim other than just dragging. You can also select the tail of the clip, for example, and if I hold the Option key down, I can use the left and right arrows to regular trim one frame at a time. So when I tap every time I tap the left arrow with the Option key down, I'm regular trimming in the negative direction. Every time I hold the Option key down and tap the right arrow, I'm regular trimming in a positive direction. So right now I'm regular trimming one frame at a time on the tail of this clip that you see getting trimmed. Now, if trimming one frame at a time is too slow for you, I can add an Option key modifier to that. I can add a Shift modifier to that Option key modifier. So I have Shift and Option held down, and when I tap the left arrow, I am regular trimming 5 frames at a time, and when I tap the right arrow with Option and Shift held down, I am regular trimming 5 frames at a time. That's if you want to regular trim quite a bit of it at the same time. So that's the regular trim tool. That's pretty much all that you would need to know as far as a regular trim tool exclusively, other than I'll tell you one other thing, and this kind of applies to all the trims. If you look at the clip, like say, look at this outgoing clip, 718_0009_01B. You see these little gray triangles that are at the tail and the head of the clip? What that basically means is that all of the media for this clip is used in the timeline. So that means that there's no additional material that I could use to like, say for example, I wanted to regular trim negatively at the head of this clip. I can't do it, not just because this clip is in the way, I'll delete that and show you, not just because this clip is in the way, but because there's no more footage to give. Same thing at the tail here. Even if that clip wasn't there, if I tried to positively regular trim frames on the tail of the clip, it couldn't do it because of the fact that there are no more frames to give. I'm going to select the clip, place my playhead over it, and press let's make sure I have these tracks selected, press the letter F, and you're going to see that it's going to recall the clip that was edited here in the timeline. It'll recall it to the source monitor, and it'll put any in points and out points that was in it. It'll have it in the source monitor just as it was before you overwrite edited or insert edited it to the timeline. You can see I don't have any in points and out points at all in the source clip. So that means that media start, or the very first frame of video, is the in point, and media end, or the very last frame, is the media out point. So that means the entire clip, all the footage they shot for this clip, was edited to the timeline. That's why you have your little triangles at the beginning and the end of the clip. And that tells you that you have no more footage to give. All right, so that's it for the regular trim, and I will see you on the next side on a video on the next type of trim we're going to do, which is the ripple trim.